Hello and welcome to Casey's Corner. My name is Casey Kendall. We have relaunched Casey's Corner and I'm really excited. This episode is brought to you by Prosperity North Advisors. And I also wanted to introduce my new book, Commercial Insurance Simplified, a real world protection for small business owners. You can find this on Amazon. I spent a lot of time putting this together for small businesses to help them understand the complex world of commercial insurance and how they can make it work for them. But we've got a very special guest today, Nick Munoz, Copperstate Garage Pros.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
This is awesome. So we met at a BNI meeting.
Yes, sir, we did.
And you have just launched Copperstate Garage Doors.
I did, yeah.
So really what the format is going to be is us just having a conversation. I want to learn about your business. I want to share it with our networks. So let's just jump right in.
Yeah, sure.
Give me just a quick synopsis of your business, how you got started, and what you're looking to do.
Yeah, so, I've been in the industry for several years now. I actually found this industry, gosh, it's been so long now, several years ago. I love this industry because I'm able to use a craft. You know what I mean? I've learned knowledge about the industry. I've learned a craft that pretty much no one could ever take away from me, whether it's garage doors or HVAC or anything. It's always good to learn a craft, everyone.
Yeah.
Because you will always find work.
One of the biggest deficiencies, I think, in the workforce right now is a trade.
Absolutely.
And we're so pushed for college and pile on that debt that there's that growing gap of I mean, I hate to use the term blue collar, but I'll say trades in which you are working on someone's business, on their home, and improving it.
Yeah, it's something that people don't really think about. When you wake up in the morning and you go to open your garage door and you go to work, you're opening that thing 6-7 times a day. I've seen people, 19, 20 times a day. I'm like, just leave your door open. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's used more than your front door, and it's important to maintain it. One thing I always tell my customers, and nobody wants to spend big money, right? So if you could get ahead of something, it's always great to do it. Do your annual maintenance. Replace the parts that need to be replaced. If your door's noisy, replace the rollers. Lubricate it up a little bit. But what a lot of these bigger companies are doing, and I used to work for these bigger companies, is if they see an opportunity to rebuild your entire door or sell you a whole new door, they're going to do that. I'm coming from the aspect, I'm only going to provide you with what you want. If you say, hey, Nick, I just want to do lubrication and maintenance today, great, let's just do that because that's what's best for your situation. Rebuilds indoors is really how the garage door industry is making more and more money, and it's getting more about them and less about what is best for the customer. So yeah, that's kind of a quick breakdown of what I do. Is I want to provide options, because at the end of the day, it's like if I go to your house, hey Nick, I just want this, great, because I know if I do a good job, I'm going to get a call back from you.
How long have you been in the garage door industry?
Almost 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I love it. I wish I would have found it even earlier. So,
what were you doing before?
I worked for FedEx for a long time. I was one of those employees that I thought I had everything. I thought it was great. I was content, but I've always had that motivation to kind of want more. And my dad owns a cabinetry business up in Washington State. Mom has her own business. My best friend has his own business, and so does my wife. So I thought I'd jump in there and do my own thing, and launched this about 3.5 weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so I guess our lessons portion will be a little bit slim because you'll have a lot of lessons to learn.
Yeah, for sure.
But where are you with the launching of the business? Where are you at with it as far as hey, this could actually work?
Yeah. So here's the thing: is it's really important to have faith in yourself. You know, it's important to make sure that everything lines up because there's going to be stages to starting a business, right? You're not going to start a business tomorrow and automatically have customer after customer.
Sure.
You have to network. You have to make sure you get the right guy to do your website, and you got to put yourself out there because it's a transition. There's almost steps to it, and you just kind of roll with it. Me, I'm horrible at social media, but I had to learn how to do TikTok. I just did that profile a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to do Facebook, Instagram, Nextdoor, all of that. And that's where a lot of my leads are coming from right now. So get to know your social media if you don't know that.
Well, that's how I started this.
Yeah.
Is social media, and an old guy like me, I'm like, oh, let me
Just type
let
it
me
on
try to-
typewriter.
What do you mean tag someone? Because
Yeah.
that's
I asked my wife, how do I find my groups?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wives are good for those types
Yes,
of things.
yes.
Nick, what's the hardest part of the garage door industry that maybe nobody sees?
The garage door industry is extremely competitive. You always got somebody out there who's going to offer this or offer that. For me, I wouldn't say it's hard because I do feel like it comes naturally to me, and I truly love what I do. Waking up every morning just doing the work is just amazing. To be honest, I can't really answer that. Obviously there's different aspects that would be more difficult than others, but when you have the knowledge, it just comes naturally.
Sure.
When I'm hanging a new door, that's obviously going to take me a bit more time, depending upon the size of the door. Spring job, it's pretty easy, pretty basic, if you know what you're doing. But I have seen some things that I would never recommend customers doing.
I bet.
Yeah, for sure.
The do-it-yourself garage
Do-it-yourselfers,
door
yep.
is not recommended.
Yep.
And that's a pretty good tip. What's something that a customer may misunderstand about the garage door, like either the install or the process in general?
It's a pretty basic system. It's a pretty basic pulley system, right? A lot with customers, what I like to do because I am a homeowner, if I'm spending money, whether it's $3, $4, $1,500, I like to know what it's going towards. All right. So that's why I provide options to my customers. Hey, I could do this, I could do that, sir, I could do that. Are you selling the home? Okay, let's get you past inspection, balance the door, and we could kind of worry about that later. But it is important to provide options to that customer because when you have that relationship with them where you're not forceful, that's important. And I think that's one thing that a lot of garage door companies just don't get.
Mm-hmm.
I think for them, it's let me build this ticket as quickly as I can, as high as I can. And then you're going to kind of wonder, well, hey, they just took that money from me. Are they going to pick up the phone? Or if something goes wrong, maybe they won't pick up the phone. You got to have an honest guy.
Sounds very transactional.
It's very transactional, yeah. And, when I first started with this industry, like I said, I came from FedEx. So I'm not comfortable with the whole sales thing. I'm just comfortable being me.
Yeah.
Like me and you right now, we're having a one-on-one conversation. And I think that's how you're going to reach the customer rather than forcing them, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. You don't have to do anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But even at the end of the day, if you do not decide to go with me, I would like to educate you on your options so that you could find what's best for you.
Yeah. So you're gonna have an informed decision
For sure.
in a 360-degree view.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a cheap thing. It's something that nobody thinks about, but at the end of the day, it's about making sure it's safe and it works.
Absolutely.
And that's really what I hear. I know you're new. You're 3 weeks into this, a month into this. It's probably something that you've been thinking about for a long time. You mentioned your parents being entrepreneurs and your wife. In the month that you've been live, what's been the best decision that you've made so far?
It's funny because I was talking to my dad before I started my company, and I asked him. I said, I've always wanted to start my own company. What made you realize that was the time?
Sure.
And he did it, every wise thing that a dad can tell his son. You know what? You're just gonna know. And I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And he was right. Things kind of line up. And when you know, you know. So I feel like every day I wake up in the morning, I'm proud and I'm happy to be a business owner, because there's always going to be that fear of, oh, hey, we got to take care of this month or next month or whatever. But the feeling of happiness and worry and fear, it's just like an emotional roller coaster. But it's the most amazing thing. And I would say to anybody, any craft, no matter what it is, if you are comfortable doing it and you truly love it, do it. Absolutely do it. It's important that you follow your dreams.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true, 100%.
Commercial insurance can be complicated, and most business owners don't realize they're exposed until something goes wrong. At Prosperity North Advisors, we work with all types of businesses: startups, established companies, sole proprietors, and teams from 5 to 100 employees. No matter the size or stage of your business, we can handle it. We specialize in assisted living, pest control, and service-based businesses. We know exactly how to handle your risk. Fleet of vehicles, we can help. Work comp challenges, we got you. State or vendor compliance, same day turnaround on your documents, guaranteed. And in most cases, we're helping clients save 15 to 20% while actually improving their coverage. So if you're not 100% confident in your business insurance, it's probably worth a conversation. Prosperity North Advisors. Our mission is to protect your prosperity.
That's amazing. Myself, I was forced out on my own. You're talking a COVID pandemic world, and it's like, hey, let's go. We got to figure this out. There's room for error, but make decisions quick and make sure that they're effective, and the best for your business
And the best for your family, which is the most important. You
100%.
got kiddos, you better make it work. You know what I mean? Because that's your job. You have to make it work.
Right.
So.
Yeah, there's a thing, and I'm gonna go off script here a little bit, but that legacy you talked about, your dad, your parents, your wife, referenced your children. It's that legacy building process of laying that foundation. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, my dad would get up at 4 o'clock every morning and just go to work.
Yep.
That's what you did. And I've instilled a lot of that. I mean, it was instilled in me, but definitely in my children, and really trying to show them, hey, this is what you do traditionally as a man. This is what you do for your family, and there's nobody that is going to stop me from being successful.
For sure.
I control my
that
destiny.
makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to go a little off script.
Absolutely,
too, right?
Please.
I think everybody, especially a man, that's in order for a man to be successful, you have to have a purpose, right? If you don't have a purpose, like for me, garage doors, I get up every morning, like on the dot, no alarm clock. I'm up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Wow.
And I just get my day started, because naturally, that's what I do. I find work. If I don't have anything on the books, I'm going to go door knock, and I'm not going to door knock, to sell you something, but I'm just going to be that guy. Hey, I'm Nick, Copperstate Garage Pros. Here's my card. I'd love to be able to help you out. Hope you have a great day. And that's going to be all the conversation that we're going to have, unless you say, hey, can you check out my door?
Sure.
Because I know, as I'm the same guy. I don't like solicitors, but I do want to point this out. A lot of people nowadays, and you can edit this out if you want, right? A lot of people nowadays, they get upset with solicitors, right? But people need to understand that that's their time to take advantage of whatever deals or whatever's going on, right? Everybody says, oh, nobody works hard anymore, nobody does this. Well, those are the guys that are doing the grunt work, the hard work, and they're out there getting after it. So you got to have a little bit of appreciation for that. I know when I first moved into my new build in Santan Valley, it was knock, knock, knock all the time. But I always do my best to try to give them
it's kind of interesting, and maybe this is the sales guy in me, but I feel the same exact way. In fact, and where I live here in Gilbert, we probably get one a day, at least. And I will always let them go through their pitch.
For sure.
My wife gets on me because she'll be like, "You shouldn't correct them in their pitch," and I'm like, you know. But I appreciate that hard work, especially when it's hot and they're out there door knocking. I'll listen to your pitch, and if it sounds interesting, then we can further the conversation.
For sure.
I do give sales tips and those types of things.
Yeah.
But I appreciate somebody getting into it like that. And I think that there's different aspects and different approaches. I mean, I've had someone say, "Hey, we're in the neighborhood for windows. We just did your neighbors." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And we'll be here Tuesday and Thursday. What day works for you? And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you already went for the close. That's good for you. Good for you." But in that situation, I mean, you're talking a cracked door. You got 15 seconds to really hammer it home.
Exactly. I always say, just give them the time of day. Even if it's 30 seconds or 60 seconds. Everybody has 30 to 60 seconds.
Yeah.
This is going to help a lot of people, especially the younger guys that are door knocking. It's going to give them the confidence that they need to work hard in life. We don't have a lot of people that really work as hard as they should. There's a lot of people that kind of want handouts, and correct me if I'm wrong. We need more doers, right? We need more people that are willing to do the hard work. 'Cause we kind of live in a society where everybody kind of wants to be given something or post something online. Hey, I'm looking for a job. Well, get online, right? Go, if you want to do real estate, go, find some real property management companies. Talk to them. Like me, I'm always going to property management, or I'm always trying to find something that will keep me consistently busy, and that's important. But you got to have the mindset of go, 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 or else you're just going to be stagnant.
Yeah. I think one of the things, and that go, go, go mindset, the only thing that I might caution, and this is just really based off of my experience, is understanding that it is a marathon.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint. Now, are you sprinting at times? Absolutely. You got to go full bore, but you have to be able to build consistency along the way.
For sure.
And one of the things that I've realized, and you will realize it, I know you're going to absolutely be successful in this, is that shift from survival mode to business owner and what that looks like. And I think that's where I'm at in my evolution over the last 6 years, because it has been a survival mode. But I will tell you this right now, and this isn't fluff. Nick, you have the mentality that I wish I had 6 years ago when I started my business. And I think, I know that you are going to be extremely successful in this, just based off of this short conversation. What are some of the risks in the garage door industry that people might overlook?
A lot of the risks are really in the springs. There is a lot of tension and weight on that door. If you go out to your door right now, right, and you lift your door up, it's going to feel really light. You should be able to lift that up with 2 or 3 fingers easy. And as every panel that goes off over that curve radius, it should be able to sit, right? Imagine those springs breaking. You could have anywhere to a $275 or 275 pound door to a 600 or 800 pound door. And if those springs are broken and you go to open it, you don't realize it, or you try to do it yourself, man, I've seen people lose fingers. I've seen broken collarbones. I don't want to even think about what happens when that thing hits the top of your head and you're in the wrong position, like you're toast. There's any number of things that could go wrong, and it's not worth it. Just get it done right, because every job that I have ever been to, where a customer says, oh, hey, I'll do it myself, it always turns into a higher cost than it could have been. You know, if I would have did your springs for you, could have did it for $4.99 or $5.99 or whatever you want, right? As far as depending upon what cycles. But because you decided to do it yourself, now we got all these other parts that are broken that probably didn't need to be replaced. And I will say this, it is important to replace your hardware every 10 to 15 years, depending upon your use, right? Because that whole system works in sync with one another. So when you have a garage door company come out and say, hey, you know what, we'll just do the springs. And when I show up after that and I'm like, well, why didn't they talk about your tube? Your tube's rusted out. Or your bearings. You know, everybody knows how bearings work. You know, when that tube goes in the bearings and spins, slowly, if you're ever hearing loud grinding noises, that's metal on metal. That's cutting into your tube. You know, and over a course of 15, 20 years on these older houses, it needs to be replaced. So there's always the option of replacing your hardware instead of your entire door, unless you want a new door. If you got cracks in your panels, doesn't matter what any company says, they're not going to be able to fix the cracks in your panels or make the cosmetic look of it go away. You know, so anybody who says they can, reach out and let me know, because I'd love to know how that's done. But I've never seen it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's kind of make a shift here. We really talked about your personal mindset, what drives you, building that legacy, taking care of your family. So let's talk about, like, who is your ideal customer?
My ideal customer is somebody who wants it done right. I think that's really any garage door company's customer, who's, for me, it's someone who's willing to listen. And like I said, whether you choose just the springs or you want the whole thing done, I don't want to have that "I told you so" conversation with you, because that's, you know, it's an awkward conversation to have. But unfortunately, a lot of people, you have to have that conversation with them. But one thing that I always offer, you know, a lot of other companies offer it too, is I offer payments. You know, 0 interest payments for 6 months. So that's always an option. If you want, you know, let's just say it's you know, Christmas is coming up, right? And you just don't have the budget for it, but you need that door done. I'll take care of you. You keep that money in your pocket, and then you go ahead and just make your payments, interest-free payments.
That's amazing.
You know, that's like borrowing cash from your mom or dad. Like,
right.
Places don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I offer. But like I said, options. They are there.
How difficult is it? I mean, I'm just thinking, like HOAs and stuff like that, going into, they're going to have certain standards. How do you work with a customer in that type of situation? If they want a new look, is it on them to really submit that information to the HOA? What's that process? What's your involvement?
Yeah, so that's a good question. What I always do whenever I show up to a customer's house and they want a door estimate, the doors in Arizona, the majority of them are pan doors, non-insulated doors. They're pretty basic. It's easy for these builders to put up, and the HOA kind of likes to stick with that. Now, depending upon how strict your HOA is, I'll provide you with options, and you say, hey, I like this one, this one, this one. Okay, let's go and give you 3 separate quotes. And again, they're free quotes. Right? Get as many as you can. Usually you're going to have an app or online, and that's something that the customer is going to take care of. They're going to go ahead and put the information that I gave them, you know, pictures, all that stuff. They don't need to worry about pricing, because it's not a HOA's business,
that's not
right?
their business.
But as long as the HOA is good with it, then you could go ahead and tag me, or you could, you know, put my information in there. And if the HOA has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them, right? I'm going to do anything and everything that I can to make the process easy for my customers. So that's really important. One of the things that I always suggest is, if you're in a neighborhood and you see your neighbor down the street or anybody in your neighborhood that is part of your HOA and they have a different door and you like that door, 9 out of 10 times they can get that door. That's going to be approved, because if they weren't approved, they wouldn't have it, right? So that's kind of my go-to. If you like a door, drive around the neighborhood. Like, oh, I like that one and that one. Okay, great. Let's go and do quote here, quote here.
I've
and
seen
that's the best way.
some real cool looking modern garage doors, especially in the new builds.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about my garage door, just the basic panel.
Yeah.
But they can get pretty fancy.
They can. I have seen doors, perfect example, Canyon Ridge door. Beautiful door. Extremely heavy door. Extremely expensive door, but they're beautiful doors. Now, the more expensive and the heavier door that you go with, you're going to go through parts faster. So you're going to need to continue to maintain that. Some people have wood doors. You got to keep in mind that you're going to need to treat that wood if it's real wood.
Okay.
So for me, I wouldn't want a wood door just because it's a bit much for me. But going with an insulated door is great, especially in Arizona. And I get this question a lot. How much will this affect my energy bill or the temperature difference? And depending upon the R value of the door, it could be anywhere between 10, 15, 20 degree difference. Now, always make sure that you're above your garage door and your walls are insulated. Because if it's not worth it. But the durability of those doors is fantastic.
So that insulated panel
Mm-hmm.
will keep heat and cool.
Yeah, so one thing that I always recommend, if you work out in your garage, if you have a shop in your garage, or you spend a lot of time there, get an insulated door and just get a mini split. That's going to be amazing. That's going to feel like the temperature. What's that?
That's an air conditioner.
Yeah, just like a mini split you could put in your garage. It's like a little air conditioner, yeah. And one of the things that I offer is I do offer American-made parts. I go through a supplier called Service Spring, and I'm not getting paid for mentioning their name. They are American-made products. The labor, the manufacturing, everything is here in the U.S., and when you go through me, you're getting American-made products, right? LiftMaster, it's not American-made. Majority of them are made in Mexico. But when it comes to springs and hardware, all of that is here. Even the doors that I offer you, I could go through Amar, I could go through Service Spring, I could go through Wayne Dalton. I got all the connections that all the other guys do.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to keep it American-made, so I do offer that if customers are interested.
I love that. I love that. What's the best way people can support your business?
The best way people could support my business is, first off, give me a call.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure, absolutely.
But share me on social media. Like I said, I just started TikTok, so I'm working on that. Facebook, Nextdoor. Just give me a shout out. Refer me. Anything like that is always best.
Where can we find you? Let's plug your website. I know you said you're working on the website, but what is your website, your phone number, email address? How can someone reach
for
you?
sure. So my company name is Copperstate Garage Pros. I'm out of the East Valley and Queen Creek, Santan Valley area, and I do service really anywhere. My direct email is nick@copperstategaragepros.com, and my website is copperstategaragepros.com.
Awesome.
So everything's Copperstate Garage Pros.
And I will definitely make sure that stuff is included. It'll probably be right here.
Yeah. And my phone number is 602-318-7203.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's close this out, Nick. This has been an amazing conversation. I think you and we were talking off camera, and you love fishing.
Yeah.
You love all the outdoor stuff that I love to do. I spend a lot of time with my boys, getting them out of their pads.
Yeah, get them away from the tablets and the TV.
Yeah.
Go old school, kick them out of the house and let's start.
Let's
you know
go
what I mean?
do something. You can come back when the street lights come on.
Exactly.
Let's close this out, Nick, and this is kind of a philosophical question. What does success look like for you in 5 years?
Success for me in 5 years, being able to spend more time with my family. Being able to be at that point where my family's taken care of, and I could take a couple days off. So I'm not working 7 days a week. But another downfall is I love what I do. I'm go, go, go. If I'm not working, I'm thinking about working just because I love it. It's addictive to me. Being able to go to my daughter's dance recitals, going to the park with them, take them fishing, stuff like that. That's important.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that. Nick, I cannot say enough great things about you.
Appreciate that.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation and getting to know you over the past couple weeks. I think you are going to be wildly successful, and I cannot wait to watch your business grow and support you along the way.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and thank you for the invite.
Of course.
So,
Thank you.
absolutely.
So, Nick Munoz, Copperstate Garage Pros, thank you for being here. Check out my book, Commercial Insurance Simplified. Appreciate you joining us. You can follow us on all socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and I don't know, whatever else the kids are watching. Thanks very much, and have a great day.